What's up, college football fans, Mean Green fans, and Cal fans? This is Noe Valente once again with the Mean Green Show today, joined by Thomas and Peter, and we're going to jump into this Cal North Texas game a little bit. But before we get into all that, guys, you already know the drill. If you're a fan of college football or G5 football, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because that is truly all that we talk about. Also, real quick, for the North Texas fans, got to give a shout out to Cole Johnson for helping this get set up with the whole new Twitter/X update. It's hard to message people that you're not following. So thank you to Cole for hooking me up with Thomas and Peter. Okay, guys. Well, real quick, what is it that you guys do for Cal and the coverage that you guys provide?
So we help facilitate Right for California, which is a fan site for Cal built by mostly Cal fans and alums. I'm probably the odd one out in that regard because I go to a different school in the Bay Area. But the point is just to give a lifeline for fans to talk about all things Cal Golden Bears, whether it's football, basketball, Olympic sports, and even things like finances.
Yeah, I mean Thomas nailed it all on the head. I can't really add. He's the odd one out because he's more passionate than the rest of them. He shows up to practices, he drives up to the games, and he does a lot of good work. So just because he doesn't go to Cal doesn't mean he's not Cal. He's Cal through and through, and I think that's really awesome. I'm Peter. I mostly do some of the finance stuff because I have a background in public policy. I also do statistical analysis, like advanced review of play-by-play and effects of run pass splits. I also do a little bit of an offensive tape breakdown, which should be very interesting this year because, as you may know, Cal's offensive line coach and run game coordinator is Mike Blesh, who was the Mean Green's OC last year.
Yep, correct. There's a lot of connections there. Kind of just jumping right into, the latest news, I guess, with Cal as far as North Texas fans are concerned, the newly named starting quarterback in Sam Jackson. What does he bring to the table in his ability?
More than anything, he provides an athleticism that's pretty rare. And I'm not going to say like Lamar Jackson rare because I think that's a little out there. But considering the struggles that our offensive line has had, especially last season, you need a quarterback that's willing to do something different. And in our case, we need an athlete under center to escape the pocket because inevitably we understand that there's going to be some roadblocks that comes with this offensive line. And even as Mike Blesh makes a transition, it's not going to be smooth every single game this season. So there has to be like an expectation of, okay, we have to have somebody who can make a play on the outside. Maybe he throws on the run down the field and gains a chunk play to one of our wide receivers. So things like that, just an ability to improvise.
Yeah, during the spring game, there was a third down play that he escapes the pocket to his right. He's a right-handed quarterback, and he has a 4.45 speed. He can take it, but he saw a guy down the field covered, and he rifles the ball in for completion. Granted, it's the spring game and all, but I think it's evidence of what he can do versus the quarterbacks we've had before who may lack either the speed or the wherewithal to look down the field and make the pass rather than try to get the run and maybe get tackled short of sticks.
So I'm going to try to remember to leave the link in the description for this video for the Cal spring game, which is on YouTube. I started watching that today. I'm only about 5 plays in. I've heard Sam Jackson. I haven't heard the greatest about Sam Jackson up to this point, just from the outside sources. But what I saw, again, in the first 5 plays did not match up as to what I've been hearing. He seems pretty legit as far as passing. Again, that's first 5 plays. Maybe the wheels fall off after that. Thomas, maybe you could speak to that. But is this QB competition officially over, and why did it take so long to name an official starter?
So I'm going to start from where you mentioned, like people mentioned to you that he wasn't necessarily all that. And in addition to what you mentioned earlier with like, is the quarterback battle over? I don't personally think it is. Sam Jackson, I think, deserved the starting job. He had won it out in the last week of fall camp. But the reason why it took so long is that all 3 quarterbacks had a tendency to turn the ball over during fall camp. Sam Jackson, probably the chief culprit among them. We had an abbreviated practice on a Thursday for like 1 hour, and he threw like 4 interceptions in that session. And normally they would think, okay, he's going to go down to the QB2, QB3 battle. Doesn't matter really. But Ben Finley, who's the backup quarterback for now, and Fernando Mendoza, they also have had their own ebbs and flows when it comes to peaks and valleys. And Sam Jackson's, I think, like ceiling is what eventually like won him the job. But I would not be surprised if there's such a struggle that within the first 2 to 3 weeks that we see Ben Finley out on the field.
Yeah. Wilcox in his interview spoke that was asked, like, are you going to employ a 2 QB system? This is after he announces Sam Jackson as the starting quarterback. And he categorically said, no, Sam's our starter. play with Sam, and this could be gamesmanship. Wilcox has always, whenever he had like a QB question at QB, he would try to delay the decision as much as possible because he's one of those old school Bill Belichick style coaches who, if he had the choice, he would tell that the entire roster is just or. You just have 7 ors on every position. It was up to him, but he really can't do that.
What do you guys anticipate Cal's offensive game plan will be against North Texas? And who are some other offensive weapons that North Texas fans need to be aware about on this Cal offense?
So I think one player definitively will answer both of those questions, and that's Jaden Ott, our star running back, who was pretty much head-to-head with Damian Martinez for Pac-12 Freshman of the Year last year. He's a really dynamic running back, great acceleration. He's patient when he needs to be, and he had a really stellar game against Arizona last year. I think he had like 274 and 3 touchdowns. So things like Jaden Ott's the name to watch for sure. And in terms of like other guys to watch, our wide receiver group is really deep and really big. So for Sam Jackson to, be effective, I think there will be a lot more nervous jump balls than many Cal fans would like to admit that will happen during this game. So I would anticipate Jeremiah Hunter having a solid day, and then one guy who's really risen above the ranks in fall camp, preferred walk-on who's got named in the first team on the depth chart, Tron Grizel. He's my guy. He's my personal go-to guy who I think just deserves it all, really.
Yeah, and more schematically, looking at the depth chart of UNT, we saw it today. We took a quick look at work. You guys are running a 3-3-5, correct? Like
yes,
kind of like a Rich Rod spread, anti-spread defense. One solution that I think we can do is we rely on Jaden Ott and our RB2 Ifanse to go between the tackles. Our edges, our left tackle, right tackle are kind of still. One had a really bad year last year. TJ Sessions, our right tackle, and our left tackle is a Stanford transfer, Brett Miller, and there's both still trying to gel with the 3 middle guys who played together before. So if we run, I can predict us trying to run down the middle against your 5'11", 300-pound nose guard and try to wash him away and get to the second level with the guards and let the tackles ease into the game. And Jaden Ott has shown to be able to be affected both between in the A gap, the B gap, and C gap, or pitch, a quick pitch on a quick pitch run. And wide receiver wise, Jeremiah Hunter. That's number 3. Look at number 3. He's probably going to be the first read in every passing play we have.
The 5'11" nose guard you mentioned is Rod Brown. He's debatably North Texas's best defensive player. He's pretty solid. So it'll be a good matchup, to see how that shakes out. What are Cal's biggest strengths defensively? And kind of want to piggyback that question with, is this a make or break year for Justin Wilcox?
I would say the strength of the defense this year would definitely be the secondary. And last year, the hallmark of the Justin Wilcox era has been defense with a side of defense. And last year there was a mix of injuries and inexperience, and it was just really inopportune. Last year's defense, I believe, was last in the Pac-12 in passing yards allowed, which is not normal at all. And this year, I think they get certain guys back from injuries. They got some nice transfers like Patrick McMorris, the safety from San Diego State. He's really good. The corner Noel Williams from UNLV, he's been really good during fall camp. And I think Noel Williams will definitely shine this season. And that, as a whole, helps back everyone up into a different spot. So Jeremiah Irby, who was a really good freshman player last year, now he can fight for the other outside corner spot. Lou Magia Hearns, who had a stellar freshman year in 2021, he's also in the fight for this other outside corner slot. So putting names down on the depth chart, it moves them back a peg, and as a whole, I think makes the secondary a whole lot better from back to front, and also will help the defensive line as a whole.
Yeah, and schematically speaking, Wilcox wants to play a more. We'll let you have 3 to 5 yard chunks on the passing game, frustrate the offensive coordinator and the quarterback to make them feel like, I really want to go deep. I don't want to be throwing 12 times to get 5 yards in order to march down the field. So expect a lot of cover 4, cover 3, just giving space, but not allowing for that explosive play, because that's usually, Wilcox has said it over and over again, the biggest predictor of success is whether can you prevent explosive plays and can you generate explosive plays. Those are the 2 biggest predictors of victory in football. So I can see that. And to your point about Wilcox, in most colleges, yes, he would be on the hot seat, but I don't really think Cal would want to fire him because he brings a culture. Like Cal cares about the culture, about the guys, and the level of personality fit he has with the university, with the athletic program. So I can see him getting the mulligan 1 year after getting a new offensive coordinator. But that's my view. That's where I stand.
That's definitely fair. And Peter broke down the finances. The buyout is certainly not cheap if it comes to that. And in my personal opinion, only like an unmitigated disaster of a season would even remotely bring up the conversation of, is he out of here or not? If he goes like 5-7 again, I think he'll stick on at least one more season, have another season with Jake Spavital, and we'll re-rack this conversation for 2024.
In the ACC.
Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or is that official now?
No, we'll find out
Okay,
tomorrow
all right.
in 2 days.
Well,
We'll go
We
down
can-
that rabbit hole another time.
Yeah.
So what does North Texas have to do to pull off this upset, and how much of a factor do you guys anticipate the Heat will be in this game, being that it's probably going to be around 100 102 at kickoff?
I think an underrated like aspect to both those questions is pushing the pace on offense, because Cal played TCU in Fort Worth in 2021, and while they weren't like, it wasn't nothing like egregious, like they lost the game, I think like 36 to like 32 or something like that. Cal wore down by the end, or like late third quarter and into the fourth quarter was when like you could tell like the conditioning and like the like peak of play was starting to like decline a little bit. I think if North Texas starts or like I say audibles to it at some point during the game, I think pushing the pace on offense is definitely going to be something that helps them. And as a by proxy, that'll have the Heat affect Cal players a whole lot more, because the Pac-12, they have there's like just different climates everywhere. You have like the cold Pacific Northwest schools in Washington. You have the mountain schools of Colorado, Utah, and then the heat of Arizona State. So I think if you get Cal either to start, if UNT starts with pace or they incorporate it at some point, I think that is what's going to help them. And as a by proxy, add more of the Heat element into the game.
Yeah. You guys just got to make us run a lot on defense and on offense. Keep us not explosive on offense. Keep the defense on the field. Stay close. And by the time mid-third quarter, early fourth quarter, we'll be tired. We'll be gassed. And if you're within a touchdown, you have a chance of sealing this game, because again, our quarterback is going to have his first start ever. He's inexperienced. He's shown propensity to try to be the hero, leading to interceptions. You might pick him off and then frustrate him for the offensive line might get gassed, and all that can combine to a UNT win if you play the game strategically and are capable to stay close with us to the mid to late third quarter.
All right. Last question, guys. Score predictions from both of you.
Yeah. So for like the last 2 months, I've been on record with the Right for California guys and saying I am not too thrilled about this game. There's definitely a big part of me that's like, first game of the season in Denton in the heat with an inexperienced quarterback. There's a part of me that's like, oh boy, here we go. We're really in the battle here. And honestly, an underrated part of this, we mentioned like the 3-3-5 defense that North Texas is going to run. It's given Cal some fits in the past, just as a whole. I'm not sure if Brian Ward ran it last year at Washington State. I'd have to go back and look at it, but I know North Texas ran it in 2019 and made the Cal offense just look inept, completely inept. And that there's a part of me that wonders how Sam Jackson's going to deal with it, because if North Texas, keeps Jade Knott to like, we'll say 3 yards per carry, then Sam Jackson may feel like a pocket passer. And that's where there's big questions about his decision-making. Do I think Cal can overcome these factors? I do think Cal can overcome these factors. I just don't think it'll be comfortable. Justin Wilcox teams have a propensity to not be able to blow anyone out. And not that I think North Texas is any pushover whatsoever. They clearly have the respect, and I expect that environment to be pretty loud on Saturday. But if you had to ask me for it like you just did, I'm going to go Cal 27, North Texas 20. Yeah.
What Thomas said, it's not going to be an easy game for us. I know Wilcox could play Cal against the Berkeley Middle School and tell the guys not to take it easy, crush them, play hard, play tough. Because one thing Wilcox hates more than losing is not respecting your opponent. He would talk anybody up. Bill Belichick style. So I don't think Cal is going to come unprepared. The problem is it's again, Sam Jackson, it's the weather, it's a crowd. I think we'll get to a uncomfortable 28-24 win by Cal. And it's only because early in the game, UNT takes a field goal instead of going for a 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, and you're kicking yourself because you had a chance to take it to overtime when Cal is exhausted. You guys have been conditioning yourself for this game. Being a Berkeley fan, we're natural pessimists too. So
Yeah,
you got to bring that in.
yeah, things will not be comfortable, and North Texas fans should be excited because there's a real prospect if things go awry that this could be a game for the taking.
Yeah.
Well, Thomas, Peter, I really appreciate it. For the rest of the season, happy footballing, and hope to talk with you soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah! No,
College
thanks for having
football's
us. Hell yeah!